starting with ourselves. I am Mtombeni. I will be the main facilitator. And then there's also Mulifi Mushodi. He will be the co-facilitator. So we will be working together throughout. And if other colleagues were to become part of the processes, we will duly introduce them to you, because once we have agreed, even in terms of logistics, how do we exchange information, make you access files and so on. I think that's where we will engage other colleagues there and then take everything from there. Thank you very much. And then if we may kindly have colleagues introduce themselves, and then those will be the basic introductions, and then main things, I think, when we talk further, we will engage with them. Thank you very much.
Okay, morning everyone. I am Tahalo Mukolo from the vendor school.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Simanyele Pevelin Tapo. I'm from the finance department.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tembisile Mahlangu from the finance department.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Mahlangu.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Sokopo, a coordinator for distance school.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And then Melin is with us, and perhaps if she may also formally introduce herself, if she's still on, or maybe I will take it that she might have, set us on and focused on other things.
No, I'll join for a wee bit, then I'll let you guys be. Thanks so much, Mr. Mtumbeni. I'm Merlin September, Senior Coordinator for the SASSETA project, and also overseeing this particular project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and welcome, colleagues. And in terms of the credentials, there's one colleague who is not here for now, and then the rest of the other related matters will engage with Ms. September about them. And then I'm glad the female component of our society dominates here, because that's one of the key achievements that we should always ensure that, the historically marginalized and the ones who access the opportunities better and quicker. We hope we were supposed to be a particular number. I said we'll talk in September about that. We hope perhaps that other colleagues may still come on board. And then once we have gone through these, it might also be easy for you to inspire them to join us. And the other component that was supposed to join us is SASSETA itself. We, however, had them say they were committed last week when we had to have this session. And we also have been informing them by way of sending mails to them whenever we communicated. And we take it, they know. And then if they do not join us, we'll presume they still have other commitments. But if they will, that will be fine with us. Otherwise, they will receive reports about how things fared. We will be having these interactions between now and 12 o'clock. Hopefully, if things move faster, it could even be earlier. The starting point, colleagues, would be to outline a bit so that then we go to the second round of introductions. The program, to just outline a bit what the program is all about. And then so that we then will go through the second round of understanding our credentials insofar as that is concerned, and then be able to know who is here in relation to the experience, and that will also inform our approach going forward. Then once more starting on our side, the program is Assessor program. We call it part of the bigger assessment practice family. The assessment practice family is about programs that are essential for the practice of education, training, and development. And these programs mainly target people who already have background in employment, and also as much as possible in training. But if colleagues do not have much exposure to training matters, that will not be a training smash, because it just will inform our approach in terms of ensuring that at least at the end of the day, we bring all of us, or some of us who may not have that kind of experience or sufficient of such, we bring them on board. The program is, however, not limited to people that are within the employment. It also targets those that have not had exposure. And like I say, those who would not have had exposure, like the school leavers, we are able to take on board, but the approach becomes a little bit different as well there, because we have to expose them to the workplace whilst we are taking them through training. And once colleagues, generally now not yet on specifics, are exposed to the training program and certified accordingly and deemed competent to become assessors, colleagues will then be part of the broader pool of assessors who their responsibilities, as I've said, the program has to do with education, training, and development. Their responsibilities will vary from empowering other colleagues within the workplace, having broader exposure to the training field, targeting mainly the people that learn whilst they are already adults, and mainly also out of school youth. However, in terms of its application, it is very essential even for the children for those who teach children of school going age, because it exposes all of us to the philosophical approach underpinning the new learning dispensation. And then, obviously that change should also be visible in schools. Hence, even if you are aware, for instance, when assessors or markers are appointed in the Department of Education, especially for the grade 12 external examinations, they do target people that have already had exposure to that and related programs that have, as I have indicated, that Assessor has got sister programs, but for purposes of avoiding confusion at this stage, we will not focus on those. We'll talk about them at a later stage. Now, how we come in now as the training provider company is, the company is the Iscariota Group, trading as Iscariota Learning and Training Academy, having been in this space for almost 18 years. We normally trade and work with different SETAs and other corporate institutions like state departments and independent private companies. We also work with individuals that come to us, we train them, and we can indicate that our success rate is almost 80–90%, depending on the availability of people, because some people will just drop at some stage. But most of the time, if we've got a group, as in your case, it is between 5 and 10. If all 10 learners are registered ultimately, surely we can proudly say we will have all of you succeeding. It may take longer for some, depending on the credentials of individuals, but ultimately all will be successful. For instance, in terms of our relationship with SASSETA, we had a group last year from the Department of Correctional Services nationally, and then all of the colleagues that were exposed to this training ultimately became competent and received their certificates. So we hope we will soldier on, work together until we complete the program. We are accordingly accredited, and then we are accordingly monitored, and our programs are certified accordingly through quality assurance of SETAs for them to be, declared or verified as we would have declared them as competent. So that's who we are. That's the background, and then that's the expertise, at least so far. We then hope for now we can hear from individual colleagues in terms of what they exactly do within the workplace, so that then we are able to go to the third round of unpacking now at least the basic output of the program. So at least if we can know at this stage, what does each of our colleagues do at work, and then the intentions insofar as learning these programs are concerned, so that then ultimately at least we know. And maybe if there is some related background to an exposure to training, that would also be essential for us to hear. So I think we've been audible and understandable so far.
Yes.
I hope that's the day. Mopolo, can we hear also from Mesekopo, Menhlapo, and Memashangu affirmation of understanding so far? And if there are clarities, maybe we can also, but I think it will be important that we affirm our basic understanding, introduce ourselves, and then come to clarities if there are any.
I understand.
Thank you.
I also understand.
Thank you very much.
I also understand.
Thank you very much. Then, colleagues, can we go to introductions, because we introduced the credentials of the company, and then now we would want you to introduce your personal credentials, because in the main, it is going to be the relationship between yourselves and what we do as the training company. Ours is something that can come at a later stage. Our individual credentials, I think they are not very, very important now, but once we get into the learning expeditions, we will come to understand who we are as individuals, but at least now we understand the background of the company. So may we then also introduce ourselves, and then go a little deeper in terms of where we come from, what we've been doing, and then what our intentions are regarding the program that we have trained. Thank you very much.
Okay, I guess I'll start.
Sorry. Just one moment, that Memelin. Or she might be out now because we wanted her to give the share button. So, all right. Okay, colleagues, for the projection part, we'll talk to Memelin just to give us a share button so that we are able to even share the slides. Thank you very much.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Are you not able to share? Because I've made you one of the main coordinators to be able to share. Are you unable to?
No, only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
But I've made both yourself, I think Joseph as well. Are you not able to?
No, both of us can't share memory.
At all? Okay, let me see if I can change it quickly while we're on the call. I'm going to mute myself because it's a bit rowdy on my end while I do it, okay?
Okay. Okay, in the day, Mukulu, you may shoot.
Yes, as you've all heard, my name is Takhalo Mokolo. I am the coordinator for the vendor school. I am currently doing my LLB part-time with UNESA. Yes, and yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about this program and furthering my knowledge within the education space. I've been with the education or higher learning education for a couple of years. I started with Council of Higher Education and a couple of training companies as well. And then now I'm here with Law Society.
Thank you very much, Ndate Mukolo.
Okay, it's me, Miss Ntlapo.
Okay.
I work at the finance department, but due to working with clients daily, I'm looking forward to learn so that I can improve my skills and know further about this training. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We still have Mr. Kopo and Men Masangu.
Okay, my name is Linda Sokopo and I'm the coordinator for distance school. I basically do the administration part. And I'm looking forward to engaging in this assessor program. Yes, I have no other things that I'm doing on the side. So yeah, this program will have my full attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my lady. And then Me Masangu.
Hi everyone, my name is Tembisile Mahlangu. I'm working at the finance department as a cryptos clerk. With this program, I'm looking forward to learn more things, to have skills.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Or have you finished?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. Colleagues, quickly, just on a lighter note, but more serious still, the fact that we are not face to face, one cannot even detect the ages. You know, when you see people, you can detect the age and have a better way to Ms. September.
Morning. I just wanted to ask if you are able to share now, seeing that I've made I've enabled you from my side. Both yourself and
it still doesn't.
It still doesn't want to.
Yes.
Okay, let me try again.
Okay.
Can I
All
just
right.
ask the email addresses that I've got? Is it the ones that I share the link to? Is that the ones that you guys are using at the moment?
No. No, Memele, you can, if maybe you want you to send an email to us, then you can use mine. I'll send it through the chat box right now.
Are you going to drop it in a chat box?
Yes.
Okay. I'll wait for it. I'm going to mute on my end because I'm sitting in an open plan, so it's a bit rowdy on my end, okay?
Okay, thanks, Mimelin. Hello, colleagues. Can we hear each other?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. So far, so good. And I just wanted to say the fact that we are not seeing each other face to face, one cannot detect the ages. However, for me, I know some people, if they are younger, I also used to take exception when people said I wasn't that when I was still younger. So you'll pardon me. That's how I often call people mentor, irrespective of how old or young they are. And if that is fine with you, please pardon my ignorance, if that would be my ignorance. But at least I'll be happy if you will accept it, because be it you are younger or so, you will age as I thought I would not, and then I've aged so far. Is that fine?
It's fine on my end.
It's fine with me, sir.
It's okay with me also.
Okay.
It's fine with me also.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Thanks with the introductions. I'll go back and then you'll come back to clarify your scope of work in relation to this assessor training, so that when we re-engage, when you re-engage with your credentials, at least you are able to say, look, this is what I do on daily, and then this is how it directly or indirectly relates. But I can assure you, directly or indirectly, it will always relate. But what the training program is all about is assessment practice, narrowly or academically speaking. One, it's about ensuring that whenever you have got interaction with a client, mainly for purposes of learning, you plan before you come to the stage of deciding whether or not the particular client or learner is or has reached a stage where he has consumed and understood the learning that the person was going through. And then what do? You then a plan for that assessment, So put in your mind as I speak other related responsibilities other than learning, like monitoring, evaluation, auditing, supervision, or perhaps when I talk about supervision and related aspects, the better way to use would be performance management, because whenever you have to sit down and discuss one performance, you start off by planning, or you would have started off by planning for that, so that the person knows outrightly what the expectations are. Then go through the learning expedition or the whatever form of interaction it is between the one who gives and the one who receives. Then ultimately, if you had a plan, the second stage would be to actually implement the plan, because there will be understanding between the two of you in terms of how assessments are going to be unpacked. And then the other stage would then be, once assessment has been done, you will provide a feedback to the person. Then hopefully most of the time there will be common understanding, especially when one has achieved the needs as per the program or anything that the person was doing. But sometimes you may have some disagreements if a person is not outrightly successful. Then in that case, the two groups or the two individuals will agree. That will be yourself and your learner or your downline staff, or this that we commonly call subordinates, with due respect, because most of the time that's a word that is being perceived to be demeaning. But sometimes we use those words for purposes of letting people understand. People that work under you, if you manage their performance, ultimately you give feedback. If you are not satisfied with their performance, the review program will lead to where there will be one or the other form of correcting the situation so that ultimately the picture is different. Simplistically speaking, if we have in our mind how it happened in schools, irrespective of when we had undergone schooling, you know, at school, a teacher would teach, give you classwork, feedback, test, feedback, and then it will be exam, feedback, whether the exam will indicate whether you've been successful. We called it pass, fail, but we now call it either competent or not yet competent. So that's the route that we normally travel, and those are the basic indicators. But technically, once we go into the learning expedition, we will then have all of them categorically outlined. So assessment presupposes mainly in education that learning would have taken place. Hence, I was saying it's part of the bigger family of other programs like facilitation. So normally we start with facilitation. When you learn, once learning has been facilitated, a learner has been taught, it is expected of the learner that the learner will come back, be assessed, and then have results. Negative or positive is positive. If positive, all is well. If negative, we go through what we call remediation, which we commonly know as the correction of the situation. So same goes when you are on any table within the employment. When you work with people, you teach them work, you expect them to improve, and then when you manage and give them results about their performance, then that will be based on the indicators that informed the learning expedition. So more or less, that's what it is all about. So I can also understand that credentials here differ from people. If I understood you well, that are already within the training spaces. And those that are not yet within the training spaces. So can we then go back, discuss, just openly, anyone can speak, to go a little deeper, to say, I will say myself, look, I'm Mthombeni, my responsibilities at Iscariota, among others, is I facilitate learning, I assess, and then I moderate. In the process, I engage with colleagues. Like I said, we have colleagues that handle other matters like logistics. Logistics are more like administration. And it is also essential for administrators to understand the basic principles of assessment and education, training, and development broadly, because in their responsibilities, they should know and understand when is it the best time to unlock certain aspects of learning in relation to the principles. Because if an administrator does not understand and is not well versed with those, sometimes they just administer according to what they are told, which may not be in line with principles, and then it leads to where one thing has to be done over and over. So at least at the moment, if we can also re-reflect in relation to your introductions and this analogy that I've done, clarify us further for the benefit of all of us in terms of what exactly are you doing, how is it unfolding, and so on and so forth. So you are free to speak, colleagues. Any of you may start. Hello, colleagues.
Yes,
Hello,
I
colleagues.
didn't get the question correctly. Can you just repeat for me?
Okay, let me say you got my statement when I unpacked the program, I hope that.
Yes.
Yes. All I'm saying is, can we then, based on your initial introductions of yourselves and the comments, if I may say at this stage, that I've made in terms of more or less where do we go to when we talk assessment, just reflect back to say, okay, maybe in terms of my work, this is exactly what I'm doing, so that at least we come closer to understanding initially what the program is all about, and then we are able to let other colleagues also understand the relationship between the learning program, assessor, and our responsibilities.
Okay. If I heard you correctly, you're talking about the relationship between this program and what you have said and what we are doing on a daily basis in our respective roles.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. On my side, as I'm a coordinator for the vendor school, I basically do all the administration related to making sure that the school runs efficiently, the students are attended to, and all administration aspects of making sure that venues are booked and things like that, and scripts are marked and things like that. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you very much. So in what you do, you talk in the marking of scripts and so on. Ultimately, they would be ready for subsequent processes like assessment and so on, so that results are ultimately issued. Am I right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The name is Muchipani Mukolo.
Yes, it's Majipani Mukolo, but my second name is Takalo.
Takalo. You know, I could be making a mistake. Sorry, pardon my ears, maybe. Yeah, your gender?
Male.
Or male? Oh, sorry. No, that's how I heard it initially. But now, lately, it's like the voice of a female that is bold and thick. No, thanks. Then I'm correct. Thank you very much for that.
No
Okay,
problem.
other colleagues may come in there.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Linda Sokopo and I'm a coordinator for the LSSA UNISA distance program, which is for 6 months. What I basically do is do administration for the department, which is processing the applications and payments for the students. And then we make sure that the students, they do their assessments during the program. We'll also coordinate the examinations and the casework. And then after that, we do the certification. Yes, I think I have physically covered all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lina. And then the other colleague.
Hi, it's Simangela Nhlapo. I'm at the finance department here at Law Society. I'm doing cash book and income recognition. So income recognition is to check if all the students have paid and their money reflects in their account. And if they don't, that's when I contact the coordinators and trying to find out what happened with the payments and sort of. And I also do the stats for the schools. All the schools stats, they send them to me so that I can check with the transaction listing if they balance. And the cash book is to balance all the banks for the company. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Loud and clear.
Hi everyone, my name is Tembisile Mahlangu. I'm working at the finance department at a Law Society of South Africa. I'm working as a creditor slack at a debtor slack. In creditor slack, on my side is to make sure all the invoices are being processed and everyone has received their payment, and then once the payment is done, to make sure that I've sent them the remittance advice. Also on the debtor side, I also make sure all the receipts are being allocated to the right students or okay, to the right student, yes, and also attend to my emails when the students are requesting for the statement to make sure everyone has, to make sure everything's been allocated to the correct student, and also send the age analysis to the schools just to make sure everything that I've been allocated is correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. It becomes clearer to us now that we are dealing with colleagues that are really exposed to matters of training and development, and it makes it better to understand and map out the approach. So the first issue I'm going to ask, I'll ask Ndade Mushodi. You will receive I'm sure you already have our email addresses, or you will send us your email addresses. The first document we'll ask from you will be your CVs. Your CVs, because it is important that when we look further into, because today it will be this induction, and in about 2 weeks then we will unfold the learning program. It will be important if we have your CVs so that everything that we do is understood more in context, but at least the introductions were able to give us the picture. Thank you very much. So we dispense with the issue of opening and or introductions. And if there's anything that colleagues would want us or would want to be clarified in that regard, may you kindly indicate so that we can clarify and then go to the next item. And I think now you can see the program on your screens. Am I right?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes.
And then thank you. And any clarities before we proceed?
Nothing on my side.
Nothing on my side.
Nothing on my side also.
Nothing
Thank you
on my
very
side
much.
also.
All right, thank you very much. The basic documents, we will cover that. I think Mr. Mshudi will speak to that issue of the basic documents, and then we will indicate how the training expedition in terms of theory and practice would go. But we'll start with the basic documents. Okay.
Morning again, colleagues. I'm the only one who hasn't introduced himself. I'm Molefi Moshodi, training manager of the Iskariota Group. I think that Mtombeni has already touched based on basic documents that we will require from you. Meaning we actually need your CVs. Your CVs must be accompanied by the certified qualifications and your ID. The reason why we need these things is for registration purposes on the SASSETA system, because we must register you on the system so that once you have completed your program, you can get your SASSETA SOR. So basically, now again, we are going to send you attendance registers. I understand that we are not all at the same place. So I'll be sending an attendance register to May September. I think she will distribute it for us because right now, I don't think we have your emails. It will be better if you can send us your emails on the chat box so that we can also give you those registers and then we'll tell you how to fill them and so forth. So that's basically it with regards to the documents that we'll require from you.
Thank you, colleagues. Is that understandable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. Once we've shared emails, we will be able to interact with you, but we'll always copy the relevant officials May September, and I hope the SASSETA as well will also let them always receive whatever information that we need to share. And then regarding the theory and the practice, colleagues, when we learn within the current educational setup in our country, it's something that started by law almost 30 years ago or even earlier. We, however, are not yet fully there. You are involved in education, and once we start learning, you will be doing introspections, and then you would realize that there are certain of the approaches that would have to be adjusted. I know sometimes you have back-to-back documenting between yourselves and the relevant authorities, the SETAs, and maybe Council for Higher Education, the Umalusi and so on, depending on who does quality assurance for your learners. Those kinds of matters are matters that needs to be intensified so that we avoid those back-to-back engagements. And then how we intensify them, you'll see we will send you those indicators, you know, that justifies. And then once you have your own material, you'll also see competence. So it has to start with you to understand that for you to be declared competent, there is theoretical learning. This theoretical learning will take place in the form of these kinds of engagements. We will make presentations, and then you will subsequently justify your understanding of those theoretical engagements by way of responding or answering questions that will come in the form of formative assessment. Formative assessment, for ease of reference, are those that we call maybe somehow informal and semi-formal assessment, the normal interactions, the classworks, the tests in our old language. So, and then later it would be a summative theoretical assessment. That also will be written work. that you do at a later stage to confirm all the work that you would have done initially. And I know what reigns supreme to colleagues all the time is whether or not there is examination. There can't not be examination, but I think we need to unpack and understand the word examination differently, because whenever you engage and assess, you are examining. So we will continue to examine, but our way of examining will be different from the traditional one where examining means writing and being, somehow invigilated under stringent conditions and so on. Because sometimes we do learn but little with that approach compared to when we work on our theories to inform practicals, which practicals will then come in the form of actual assessments. Now, what we will do when it comes to, so that's what theory will constitute of. What we will do when it comes to the practice is you need to submit 2 assessments where learners have been assessed by yourself. The first one we call simulated assessment, which means it is almost a mock-up kind of assessment. The second one becomes actual assessment. Then that's where you assess a real learner. So what we normally do, we prepare such assessments in case you do not have exposure to the training material. But if you feel that your exposure and the assessments that you do would better inform what you learn, you will use your own material as your assessment tools that you will submit when you submit your final documents. So it is going to be easy in that we are going to request that you also send us your addresses where we will courier your files to avoid the situation where we'll send documents electronically, and then when you have to package them, it becomes problematic. So we have prepared files for you. We will send your manual file to you. We will courier it to each one of you. Then once we have started learning, we will go through the files, guide you in the group and also individually, because sometimes when we learn, we understand matters when we are interacting bilaterally. And even though the sessions will actually be sessions amongst all of us, but where any of you would want to have bilaterals with you, that will be welcome, so that we explain to you and then you are able to do it the right way throughout. So the practicals will be twofold depending on your preference. When your file comes, it will be having readily written work that you will assess, and when you send your file back to us, we'll have those assessments. Number 2, if you choose not to use those of us, you will use yours, and then you will insert them in that file when you send that file back to us. So your exposure and then your understanding once you have started learning. I know because of exposure, some of the things that I'm saying you already understand will actually inform that particular kind of an approach. So that's how the learning will go. The documents, as Dr. Mushodi has already indicated, email addresses will help us. We will send back to back those files, which means as we speak today, we are starting to building your files, because we'll have your CVs and so on. What we receive from you, we'll keep in the dummy files, send you the original files, and when the original files come back to you, you would either have inserted them, or when they come back from you, we will insert whatever of those documents that you not have inserted there. So we are making the process to be easy. And then we need, number two, your physical addresses. I think the preferred situation will check. They know how they normally do it here in the offices. You know, you've got your PEP stores, your Postnet, and so on. So most of the time, that would be the reliable process where you go there, collect. But in some instances, if you've got reliable, say, work addresses, you will provide that, and then we will send it by courier. So we will decide which means will be more reliable, you know, so that we don't just go for a cheaper but unreliable means. So we will engage on those. You'll send us the addresses, and then on bilateral engagement, we will know where and how do we send those to each of you. And please, whatever you send us, for now at least, copy, message them, and then so that at least there is openness in whatever we do. We do not have things that we do between ourselves as the provider and yourselves as the learners, and they are not informed, and then their queries, they can't actually intervene accordingly on those queries because they do not understand how we did some of the issue matters, how we approach some of the matters amongst ourselves. Thank you very much so far. May we get from you if you have understood this one, so that we know we are covered with that one, if all is well. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you. So all of us have understood today.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much, colleagues. And then the next step is about the purpose of the project. I'm sure this would be better outlined by, I'm not sure, Ms. September, are you still with us?
Yes, sir. I'm still with you guys.
Okay, thank you very much. On yours and the SASSETA's behalf, may you kindly just take us through your normal engagement, your intentions, the road that you travel with them, and the expectations from the learner and the benefits of these kinds of learning expeditions. Thank you very much, Ime.
Only a pleasure, sir. So all they would want to have is that you attend classes as per scheduled. We check the attendance register, as I think Mr. Molefe mentioned earlier. He's going to circulate this attendance register, ensure that you sign it, and then also make sure that you're handing your assignment as per your outcome. Otherwise, you won't get to be deemed either competent or not yet competent. Also, just to mention, I've received the SPO once already, sir. I'm going to share it with yourself. The learners did send it to me, so I'll share it with you guys. The only thing that I haven't received is their CVs, which you guys just mentioned earlier, which will be sent obviously to me, and I'll share it with you. I'm just also updating the learner list with the email addresses, and I'll share it also with you guys. The last thing would be making sure that your portfolios will either be sent to me directly or to your institution itself to be moderated and assessed, and then the outcome will come from you guys. That's basically from my end, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor. September colleagues. I hope Mayor was clear. However, if you seek some further clarity, you may ask for such clarities before we move, so that at least we understand, you understand. But just to add to say The bigger picture benefit of this is the enhancement of approach in learning and development to improve the credentials of colleagues as employees of the company, but also as members of the society. Because the intention, the broader intention is for government to achieve its goal of having each society being well skilled, and narrowly the company and SASSETA in their relationship would want to see the company performing better in those particular areas of responsibilities. That is why they would always seek training opportunities based on the mandatory relationship that exists between them and SETA. And then ultimately, remember, we are employed, and not all of us will ever be employed. And then when you choose to be an employer at some stage in future, you don't do that. You do it as your personal preference, but the benefits do not come back to you only. The country is skilling you so that as an employee, you perform better. The country is skilling you so that if you become interested in becoming the entrepreneur, indirectly for your own benefit, you know what the benefits are, and indirectly for benefit of the country, you know that you contribute into the fiscus and the development of others. So those are some of the important expectations. That is why when opportunities such as this come our way, we have to soldier on, start and finish programs, so that ultimately we do not have the situation where colleagues do not finish programs, and then ultimately there is this that we call fruitless and whatever expenditure. So we all have to contribute positively to the development of the country. And if we do not soldier on whenever opportunities come our way, however small the space we operate within, that in itself will contribute negatively if we do not soldier on and make sure it contributes positively. So be the change that the country needs, be the change that your own personal lives need, be the change and the hope that many others would want you to be for their own personal benefit. So contribute positively to the development of yourself and the development of the country, and at the moment, primarily, the development of the space that you operate within, which is the law society. Thank you very much. Any input, any questions? Please let it not only be questions, it may also be input. Let's be inspired to add and maybe convince us that you understand everything that we are talking about. Thank you very much. So far, any input?
Nothing on my side so far.
Nothing so far.
Nothing so far.
Thank you, colleagues. I hope we understanding, and I know it is not the best way to say. For me to say understand, you say yes, because I'll be taking you back to that class where you were kids. So I don't want us to go back there. It's fine the way we are doing it, and would rather also say amen to really confirm that, affirm that no, we are on the right track, we are excited, we are learning, we are moving on, we are making ourselves better for the betterment of the others, and ultimately for the creation of a very successful country. Then the next one will be the project overview, the timetable. Let me see. or we've got, let's start off with the rollout plan there. Or the rollout plan is mainly an administrative process. The relationship that we established, you can see where it all started. We will share all these documents with you. You will see the role of administration, the role of management, and the role of other stakeholders on matters such as this. And then you will appreciate it that at the end of the day, all stakeholders are important in ensuring that any learning expedition that we undertake is realized from start to the end. And I just would like to emphasize with excitement the fact that I'm glad that colleagues here are key in administration, because sometimes there's fallacy that training is mainly the responsibility of people like myself, who is a facilitator. Whereas training is equally taxing and demanding from the administrative side of responsibilities. If you can observe, we are adults here, and we also directly or indirectly are responsible for learners in schools as our own kids, kids of our brothers, sisters, and so on. And we normally observe what is expected of learners, which is more than what was expected of us in the past. Projects and so on. It is essential to cover, among others, this practical part, which means even in schools, it is being, gradually introduced as part of the important learning expedition. As such, it also is making a total shift amongst our educators. If you can check, educators today account more than they did in the past, because the system is designed or redesigned in such a way that everyone takes full responsibility and does not just blame others for the failures of the system. So educators today work more than they did in the past. They are involved with admin and everything of their learners. There's a lot of paperwork. Some people say there is a lot of paperwork, is cumbersome and so on, but the paperwork is meant to ensure that assessments that are taking place are able to be accounted for, both verbally as well as, if needs be, through the provision of evidence in the form of paper. So if anybody has a problem, is involved with education and has a problem with a lot of paperwork, unfortunately, that person is not, it's not a person that we really need in the space of education, because a lot of paperwork, it's a way of covering our backs and ensuring that we've got sufficient evidence if it was to be needed. And we are able to justify output, assessment, to say my output says competent, successful, pass, and this is the evidence. My output says no, not yet competent, you failed, you have to repeat the program, and this is the evidence that I have. It doesn't have to be thumbsucked any longer. So this program shows where the process started, The rollout plan shows how everything started, and then it also indicates how things will go. And for us here, the most important steps would be that of presenting the theoretical documents where you'd have written your assessment, and then how it will start because we are working virtually, is whenever you'll have manuals to read. Whenever you are answering your questions, you will be interacting with us. And then when you finally, transfer to the final assessment documents that will send to us, you would have ascertained that you are on a right track. The practical engagements, like I said, you will have those documents. You will do what you are supposed to do, practically assess, mark the work, write your comments, and as much as possible, interact with the learner so that after the learning expeditions, you do not only understand how it is done, but you were able to do it physically. And I know in your case, there will be direct and indirect traits of RPL by virtue of you having been involved in education. Some of the aspects you know already. So technically, you are RPL learners. But for purposes of not confusing matters, even those that you would have done before, you will do them so that based on evidence that relates to the material we'll share with you, we receive everything. However, if there's any additional information, like Ms. September indicated, you will send us your CVs, like Mulifi indicated, you will attach your qualifications. And further to that, if there's any additional evidence in the form of, for instance, testimonials and so on, that justifies your involvement with some of the indicators here, you are free to submit all such evidence. If you feel that additional to the assessments that you've done, you may also attach other assessments if you happen to not only coordinate or in your work of coordination, also practically engage with the scripts, the marking and so on. You can add such as additional information so that you intensify your opportunities to be found outrightly competent based on the fact that you know through the learning expedition here how you should do things, and you would have known also how things are done directly or indirectly through involvement as people that are already in the space of learning and development. So that would be 2.2. 2.3, consolidated theoretical and practical parts of delivery. So once you have done everything, you do consolidation by way of packaging your POE and submitting the POE to us. Then we do the assessments accordingly based on the fact that there'll be satisfaction to the effect that you now understand the essence of assessment based on all principles. But above everything, you do understand and you are able to go through an expedition and appreciate the fact that for assessment to be finalized, all assessment activities have to finally be integrated. Theory, practice must speak to one another. And when they are submitted, they then will have to be submitted as a consolidated document that comes in the form of the portfolio of evidence. And then finalization of the assessment and provision of feedback. Once assessments reach us, we will come to the timetable. according to the timetable. Once the assessments reach us according to the timetable, we then will assess ourselves, your work, and say, if there is sufficient evidence that you covered both theoretical and practical aspects, we will find you competent, which means we'll say you have passed. And the internal moderator will verify that as well. Then once the internal moderator would have finished his work, we will invite the external moderator to come and put the final nail in the coffin and say, yes, indeed, the way everything unfolded, indeed, the learners were found to be competent. And once that has happened, the last stage, number 4, which is that of the issuing of a certificate, will be done accordingly. Thank you very much. Looking at the rollout plan, colleagues, do you pick any aspects that you believe you need to be clarified with?
On my side, everything is loud and clear.
Thank you very much.
Same also.
Thank you so much.
Same also.
Thank you.
Same too.
Thank you very much, colleagues. What we may also even do after this program, depending on your level of receptiveness of that, because we also need to hear from you. Others would say, no, I'm still going for Easter, I don't want confusion, blah, blah. We may also even share with you the documents that we will courier to you, electronically, so that if you feel you have time, you want to read and expose yourself to these before we even start with the learning program, you may do that. It's fine by us. We will do that. So you will indicate once we have completed everything, if you are prepared to do that. Okay, can we then go to the program? Mr. Mshodi will take us through the timetable now. What we'll be doing practically from the first to the last day. Get to the timetable. Maybe a 5 minutes break.
Good day again, colleague. I think you've already discussed the rollout plan with Ndatim Tumbeni. I was out. However, this program is also against that. The rollout plan. So we'll be having a 5-day session with all of you. And then we'll be doing all of these things from day 1 until day 5. Therefore, on day 1, we'll be doing registrations, orientation, and filing of basic documents, of which we've already discussed. Then we'll do an overview and presentation of the program. And then we'll have a break and so forth. Then we'll discuss POE and first activities. Meaning all activities, we will be doing them with you during this whole program so that we can assist you whenever you want clarifications and so forth. I think we might need to amend or fix this program because we actually did this program before we knew that we are going to have our trainings online. Therefore, we are going to have to amend it so that it can help us to reach some of the things that we won't be able to do. If ever we were going to meet face to face, then this was going to be the program that we are going to follow. However, now because we are going to meet online, we'll have to amend some of the things here. Because I can see there's some places where we have to do remediations of formative assessment. It will be a problem for us because we won't know what you have written until you have submitted your POEs and so forth. So I don't actually want to talk about this for a long time because we still need to fix it. However, I just wanted you guys to know that we have a catch-up plan for learners that will be absent or unable to complete their work at a given time frame. We'll have other sessions, meaning if ever you feel like you are not going to be available on a certain day, you can inform myself or Tatem Tumbeni that you won't be available. However, you will be available on a certain day. Then we can arrange again to have that session with you so that you won't be left behind and you'll be able to complete your work and so forth, and then you can submit your POEs at that given time frames. Thank you. I don't think there's a lot now that I can discuss.
Thank you, colleagues. The program and the timetable, there it is. We also will share them with you. And then, like the thing is indicating, please, from today, you are free to engage with us anyhow. One of the ways and means that we normally prefer is to create a WhatsApp group, if that is fine with you, because sometimes it makes matters easy and so on. And then we are able to uphold the highest professional standards on those matters. It can't compromise or it can't be compromised anyhow. We normally do those things and then we will treat it accordingly, but we can also think of those things and then maybe later on decide on them. But it would actually even be better, I can imagine, if we start with some of the things informally now, so that by the time you receive your portfolios and we go through the classes, you have already exposed yourself to this. And then one of the benefits of the WhatsApp group is when one has got a clarity seeking matter, we are able to also share it amongst all of us, so that if we would have a common challenge, it would not always be that the common challenge is addressed with each of us individually, but also all of us in a group. And also the benefit is there are dimensions that you may bring. Other colleagues were in some of these bodies, as they have indicated, as you could hear. So such experiences may assist and be of benefit to all of us. Their experiences may also be of benefit to all of us. So it will make us learn to engage freely and to accommodate all angles and perspectives, so that when we say we have learned, we haven't just learned a few things from one person, but a lot of things from different people and from all of us. I hope we understand each other so far. And then we will take this break. The next session, I'm not sure. I don't think it will be long because some of the matters we have already covered, but we think you deserve the benefit to reflect, so that when we come back, you are able to engage freely after you would have reflected. Sometimes when a lot of information is pumped at the same time, you are not able to think independently and as such reflect accordingly and then prepare yourself to engage accordingly. So that would actually be a symbol of not giving you the justice that you deserve. So on these, if we agree, you may ask questions on the timetable and the rollout plan now, if you have them, or we may agree to break, say for 5 to 10 minutes. Remember, as Mulifi has indicated, the 30 minutes would be relevant if we were interacting face to face. So I think 10 minutes a break will do, so that at 20 to 11 we reconvene and go through the remaining aspects. May September, is that fine?
Sir, that's perfectly fine with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope it is fine with all colleagues. Let's break, reflect, prepare your questions, and not only questions, you may also add and give angles to what we have submitted. You may also advise and maybe propose certain things to be done in particular ways based on your innovativeness in terms of your experience, or based on the observation that we also have made in terms of the differences between face-to-face and visual engagement. So thank you very much, colleagues. Let's reconvene in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This part, Hello, colleagues. Are we back?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on time. Colleagues, maybe I must listen to you first. And please just say something. If you don't have concerns, questions, and so on, please just say something. Maybe for the next 2-3 minutes, I can just hear you to give us affirmation of the fact that we are together so far.
On my side, nothing so far. I just trying to get understand everything, so I'm okay.
Good, Ms. Mangele.
I also have nothing to say. I'm still processing all the information that I recently got.
Okay, thank you, Sis Linda.
On my side, there's nothing so far. I'm still processing everything, processing all the information that we got.
Okay, Sister B. The thing with Japan, are you with us? It doesn't seem Ntate Mokolo is back. Are you back with us, Ntate Mokolo? It seems he's not yet back. Memelin? Oh, she still is not yet back. Can we agree, colleagues, to give them just about a minute? If you have a way of telling them that we are waiting on them, that will be appreciated. Just a minute, please. So in 1 minute, we will proceed. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
Please, let's call along.
Mr. Mtombeni, can I please ask something?
Sorry, ma'am?
Can I please ask a question?
Yes, please.
How long is the program going to run for?
How long is it going to run for?
Yes.
Yes, the program reflects the 5 days. So,
Oh, it's exactly
which
5 days.
means the first day on Monday. Yeah. Let's go back to the program, the timetable. Yes, Sis Linda and other colleagues, do you see the timetable on your screen again?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Yes, we do.
All right, thank you. We said was the first day will be a Monday, let's presume, on the set date, but we'll remind all of us of the date, the actual date on which we said we will start. So the first day we'll start, the 8th, we'll start at 8 o'clock. And then remember some of the matters we are already addressing gradually as we continue, like the registrations and so on. We're going to share registration forms electronically. Like Mr. Mshodi indicated, we'll fill those forms and so on, which means we make it easier for us so that when we start, we should mainly start focusing on the programs. So the orientation and the filing of basic documents, overview and presentation, which means when we talk of the orientation, the filing of basic documents, when we start on that particular date, you will already have your files, your manual files, and then we'll be going through telling you where to insert what. Which means you are going to scan and email documents to us, like your CV and so on, your ID copy, but you keep the originals. Obviously, then when your files arrive, then we are able to tell you, insert this, that, there, and so on. And then you at least understand how the process goes. And then the overview and the presentations, we will do that. We will present, and then you will add, seek clarities, and so on. Once more, we presume by then you would have already gone through your notes that come in the form of your book, your learner guide, so that we interact. It's not us saying everything to you and so on. Then we will discuss Hello, colleagues.
Hello, we lost
Hello,
you
I
there
think
for
we
a second.
lost you for a
Oh, we
minute.
lost you
No.
for a bit.
Okay, thank you. Ntate Mukulu, you are back, ne?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, Memelin. Okay, no, it's fine. Memelin will join us.
I'm back, sir. I'm back, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So
Sir, sorry to interject, Mr. Tombeni. Can I just ask, the schedule that you were displaying earlier, what's the possibility of sending it through to me so I can share it with the group, but also maybe including dates? I think the reason why they're asking is so that they know how to organize their training. And also on my end, also I'm running not only this project, but I've got the candidacy project that's running, as well as the paralegal training that's running. So we need to know more or less when training is running for the assessor so that we can slot it in our other schedules. Please, sir. Thank you.
The date was we will start Monday the 8th, which means it will be Monday to Friday. The week thereafter, we will focus on consultation. But for now, let's focus on this first week, Monday to Friday. And then the program put the dates, which means we'll say day one.
Sorry to
program
disturb
will
Mr.
run. So
Mtombeni, but your line is not clear from my side.
No, not even from my side. I think the your whole sentences that you are giving through now, you're gonna have to repeat. I think there's probably a load shedding on your end. You are constantly breaking. We hear every second word.
All right. How does it feel now?
Somewhat better.
Much
Somewhat.
better.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Let me, yes, let me repeat that in our meeting with Merlin and SASSETA, we agreed the program should run between the 8th to the 12th of April. That's one, the real training. And then we will give ourselves, all of us, the date of Monday, the 15th to Friday, the 18th.
The 19th.
And have yes, PO is ready. Remember, we are also trying to accommodate some of the realities, like Mr. Mshodi indicated, wherein one person would need some extraordinary engagements, clarities, and so on. So that is why we will have the whole week after training to consolidate and put everything together so that the files then come back. We will also share with you and the colleagues the timeframes as agreed upon between the three of us, yourselves, as the Law Society, as SASSETA, and ourselves. You know, so that when colleagues start coming back to us, you know, asking us about their results, they would have known the timeframes that we agreed upon between and amongst all of us. It's only important and fair that we share all of that information. So let's go to the week where in engagements, which is interacting and rolling out the learning program, which will be the week of the 8th to the 12th. The first day, as I've indicated, it is there, registrations, orientation, and of basic documents, overview and presentations. Remember, regarding registrations, orientation, and filling of basic documents, if we agree upon the adjusted strategies that we have already suggested, because Mr. Mshodi did indicate that when we do it virtual, certain aspects will be somehow different from how it will happen. It were to happen if it were to be physical. If we agree on the strategies that we proposed, that we start sharing documents, sending them to each other back to back now before the date of the 8th. Obviously, we can finish with registrations during this week, next week, so that then when the sessions start, any outstanding of registration do not have to deal with them here. It could be matter handled between maybe ourselves and individuals who might have by then not submitted certain, that we don't waste all of our time by talking of those matters of logistics. So those we can agree to start off with them so that we cut on the matters that we have to deal with. And the overview and the presentation that we will do, even though we'll touch a bit on today. And then we'll have to we'll start off by discussing the POE and work on the first activity, the formative. So that we have to do because it is proper for us to have understanding as we start off what the POE entails so that we can start building our POEs or the portfolio of evidence from the word go, because if we wait until the last minute, it confuses us because we no longer know where what should be inserted and so on and so forth. So that we will also expedite and with it. And then we will also handle continue with the first activity so that by the end of business, the first activity would have been completed of the formative assessment. That would be the written work, the engagement, the clarities, and all those kinds of things. And then the second will proceed as indicated there. We review the first day. We start with the overview of practical activities. We continue with formative assessment, and then we compile our formative assessment, and then we continue and we complete our summative assessment. Which means, remember, it is practical and theory. It is ensuring that we integrate. When we work on the first formative assessment, which is theoretical, from the first day, the second day, we also start working on the practical activity. By end of business, the second day, we've got an appreciation and full of what we are involved with, because we would have done what I may call the classwork, and then we also have done what I may call project one of the formative practical assessment, would have assessed. So that notion will ensure that in our minds, we appreciate what we are into, so that we don't rush into doing everything and finalize it in one day, say the last day, and so on. The third day, we provide feedback on the formative assessment, so which means we'll mark the written work, and then if there are remediations that have to be done, we focus on those remediations. Meaning, colleagues, when we would have started, it will not be the talk shop the whole day. At some point, we'll say we break, right? Say for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and then we reconvene, we explain, you seek clarities, we give you feedback, you look at what we have said, and if there are matters that you need to correct by way of remediating, you do the remediations. That will be your time. We break, you continue, we reconvene. So I can safely say over the 5 days, 30% will be just talking. 70% will be you doing your work, and then us providing feedback. And in the 70% of talking, it will also accommodate where we may need to have interactions with individual learners. Say, on a particular aspect, Sis Mangele would want us to engage on one-on-one. We can then, when others are continuing with their work, engage with her one-on-one as well. So we will be absolutely flexible in engagements. And when we have groups and so on, like the WhatsApp groups and so on, it will also help you to also, when others are writing, engage on matters that you believe that you need to understand better on the group for the benefit of yourself and the rest of the others. So we will be that flexible, that engaging, and ensuring that ultimately we understand everything. So still on the third day, we will then complete the summative assessment. That will be the practical summative assessment. We'll refine this program so that it is clear about what exactly will be summative and summative assessment, theoretical, summative assessment, formative assessment, summative assessment, practical, and theoretical as well. We'll clarify it when we send it to you. And then we will do the simulation. Add the practical assessment that will simulation. Then we'll do that one. And then it will be lunch break. Then after break, we continue with the simulated activity, which is the practical conduct of assessment. That will be day 2. Day 3, we provide feedback on activities of day 3. And then we then conduct the real assessment, which is the second practical assessment. And then do the completion and the completion of the real practical assessment.
Sorry, Mr. Ntombeni. Sorry to interject. Your line is extremely poor. I'm not sure what's the problem. I'm not sure if the other delegates are also experiencing it, but every second or third word we can't hear. Oh, I can't hear. I'm not sure of the rest of the. Maybe if we can, maybe if you can log off and log on again on your side or restart, but it's extremely poor on your end.
Oh, okay, let's quickly break, say, for 5 minutes so that we can log off and log on, then we'll take it from there. Sorry for that.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You will. Okay. Hello, colleagues.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we back. Am I
Hello.
better? Am I better audible now?
Sound
Yes,
much better.
Thank you so much. Can we all confirm? Memelin and other colleagues that have not confirmed, are you also fine? Can you
Yes.
all hear? Formative theoretical assessment. Fellow colleagues, all back.
Yes.
All right, colleagues, let me check. Temokolo, can you hear me and hear me well?
Yes, it's much better now.
Thank you. Memelin. She's not yet back. Melinda.
So it sounds much better
it's
on my
much
end.
better.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
Sorry, I just stepped out, and then every time I step out, that's the time when you ask a question. So yes, it's much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Melinda.
It's much better, sir.
Thank you. Sis Mangele.
It's much better, sir.
Thank you, Sister B.
It's much better, sir.
Thank you very much, colleagues. You will ask further clarity where you did not understand. Let me just presume we just have to complete it, and then you'll take us back. That program, we were on the program. I was just trying to explain how it will unfold. We were on day 5 already, I think, you know. So, okay, day 4, the last part of day 4.6, SWOT analysis of activities. There is what we call the reflective activity. That's where we look at how things would have gone. Practicals, the formative assessment, the summative assessment. We try and confirm if we were on the same page throughout. Then the last day, we consolidate both formative and summative assessments. And then we provide feedback on the practical activities, which means consolidation of formative and summative practical activities. That's point 1, day 5. And then the second point is we provide feedback on the practical activities, which means the simulated and the actual assessments. So that's where you'll be sitting with documents, assessing them. We would have provided you with that. There won't be any problem. And it is only if you choose to use yours that you will not use those that will have provided you with. Then compilation of portfolio of evidence. Now we put everything inside the portfolio in order. I take it we are all exposed to the building of a portfolio and the submission of it, through skills development. And I know most of the tertiary institutions have also resorted to this kind of an approach. So where colleagues do not have exposure, they will indicate. But if you have exposure, when we say we compile a portfolio, colleagues will understand. But to use easy weights, that's where we say there is your file. The first page is your CV. And then page number 7 is the copy of your ID. Page number 70, you insert your theoretical assessments. And then page number 80, you insert your practical assessments. Page so and so, you sign, you put the dates for page so and so, you do this, that, and so on. So colleagues will understand why we prefer that you should receive the manual files, because if you compile your own file and then we do all this, it might be cumbersome. But if you have your file, it is easy. We go through them, we guide you, and then you insert all the information throughout. And then the last part would be the logistics and the departure. That's where we'll agree how do we receive files back. We'll then review our, programs and know which areas of the program would have been covered and which would still be outstanding, so that your expectations and ours are in line with each other. Then once we have completed this process, for purposes that you make yourself familiar with your work, refine and ascertain that everything is covered accordingly. As I have said, we need to appreciate the realities that administrative achievement plays in the learning expedition. You will have the whole following week from Monday, if we were to presume you do not work over the weekend on these files, to look at how everything has gone, where everything is, and whether it satisfies you that it is where we said it should be, and it appears the way it appeals to even your conscience, the way it is. That's now where you make your own work your own for real, by looking at it and reflecting on your own. Then if same day, Monday, the 12th, you feel, is it 12th? The 15th, you feel that you are ready to post your file back, you do that. But the latest will be by Friday, the 18th. But we will appreciate it, and we advise that if colleagues feel that immediately upon completion on day 5 of the first week, and knowing also your other commitments, work and personal commitments, you may be in more than one programs, for instance. You may have other work-related responsibilities that might have suffered because of the whole week of engagement with this. For instance, you may find it's weekend and you don't have any family commitments, or you may find that you are going to have family commitments throughout the weekend and work commitments the following week. We advise that sometimes it is better that immediately upon completion at 3 o'clock on Friday, the 12th, you continue looking, refining, and completing your file. And even on Saturday morning, waking up to send it back to us. So that's what we would advise you should do, because you have to be married to that file until you send it to us. Because if you give it a few hours divorce, you know what normally happens. It might be difficult for you to go back to that file, and then Memelin will find it hard to find you when we want you, and then the rest is history. So give it better, your best shot outrightly, so that when you leave it, you don't have to go back to it. And then you send it in good time to us. But we're giving you the whole week, that at least by Friday, the 18th, all of you should have said to us, here is evidence that the file is on the way to you. Sharing that information with Memelin, and then we will also, in the process between ourselves and Memelin, be sharing all the information with SASSETA. And then we would have accounted of all outstanding other activities, because once you have provided the file to us, it will be nice on your side. You'd have a sigh of relief, and the pressure will be shifting back to us, because now it will be us who have to ensure that everything is refined, files are accordingly assessed and internally moderated, and then we then engage the external moderators according to the program that we have, which I believe we have shared and can continue to share and give you clarities about them, so that you know, according to the agreement amongst all of us, we have agreed maybe, for instance, that by end of May, everything should be completed. So when you start calling us after the time frame would have been reached, you then would be fully justified to inquire how far we are, because timeframes would have been reached. So anything beyond that, we need to all of us account for things that we would not have done. So at least if you do that, you give yourself the benefit of inquiring and ultimately demanding the benefit for your time and everything that would have put into this, all forms of effort that would have put in this program. Colleagues, thank you. It was based on an inquiry from Sis Linda that we went back to this. Yes, I think she's the one who asked us to clarify this. So maybe we need to hear from her if she's clarified, and from all other colleagues, that they now understand what is going to take place between today and until the Friday after the completion of the program, and the following Friday, that would be upon the closing of dates for submission. Thank you, colleagues. May I hear from you?
All is clarified, Mr. Mtombeni. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, 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 Sis Linda.
Clear on my side as well.
I don't want. Oh, you are fine, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. There shouldn't be any silence means consent, colleagues. Let us always confirm that we all are on the same page. Sis Mangele?
Yes, I'm on the right, same page, sorry.
All right. Tembisile?
Yes, we are in the same page.
Thank you very much. Remember, colleagues, I would actually overemphasize certain importance so that we understand intrinsic value that relates to certain practices based on the experience that we have, and presumably your own experiences there. The reason why we also emphasize that we need to create a sense of belonging until we complete. Sometimes I explain something and all of you here, but there's one who might not have heard me well. That person would understand one of you better than he or she would have understood me. That is why we also encourage that we should have things like the WhatsApp groups and so on. Sometimes for starters, if you think you don't need us, you can start the WhatsApp group and have one of you as the coordinator, so that on behalf of all of you, he transfers to us matters that you want to understand as a group. But we will have an open line with you as individuals whenever you want to talk to us until we would have completed. So because things are going virtual, we shouldn't cheat ourselves by ultimately leading to where virtual would mean interactions are limited. We need to ensure that everything remains as interactive as we were. It would be when we're on a face-to-face mode in a classroom. So that's what we need to encourage. We need to relate as if we have met physically before. We need to encourage that. I know you might know each other, you might have interacted. The company could be too big for all of you to know each other. So that would also be a way of actually promoting networking within the company as well. Thank you very much. And then we then move to the next point, colleagues, on our program. The modes of learning, submissions, feedback, and remediation. These slides would be essential if colleagues had not asked questions. The value of asking questions is also that when certain matters are overemphasized, other matters are already covered. So the program, like I indicated in the morning, the target group would be the skills development facilitators. Anything here that relates to learning, you can note, and then even later you can ask us. We will always clarify what do we mean, for instance, by the skills development facilitator. I know you have them. You can also among yourself clarify yourselves about that. But skills development facilitation is part of learning that relates to the coordination of skills development, which in a sense all of you are. So there's a program dedicated to that, but yourselves as people that are involved, you embedded, once you talk the way it means you embeddedly are a skills development already, because you ensure that certain aspects of the imparting of skills within the workplace are covered. You know, especially here also administration, the lobbying of learners to be in programs. If you are dealing only with employed learners, or the recruitment, if you are also dealing with unemployed learners. People that are supervisors are essential to become assessors, because when you evaluate one's performance, you are indirectly assessing one's performance. Remember, learning does not only take place through interactions as we have them here. Every aspect of interacting and imparting knowledge to anyone within the workplace is a learning expedition. So that is why those that supervise are classified as people that also need to be capacitated with assessment. Team leaders, line managers, which means all of these represent leaders within the workplace. Human resource managers as well. They are categorized differently according to their culture and the protocols within different workplaces, you know. So human resources is also essential. Remember, the critical components when it comes to the whole issue of the Now, all elements or sub-components of human resource are essential when it comes to assessment. I'll cite examples. Human resource administration. That's where you package and know who have fed and so on. And that's where you'll know the training needs of people. Human resource development, that's where you will facilitate interventions if people were to be trained based on gaps as identified and consolidated through the administrative processes. And also, the area of organizational and human resource development, that's where you do assessment of the system, looking at it in relation with people that are within the system and knowing where people should be placed and how. And then where people cannot be placed and they are redundant, you may also, based on that organizational adjustment, have to retrain people to be relevant to the gaps that exist. Organizational human resource development also fits into the picture in that particular way. And another aspect that is essential, of course, is that of labor relations. Remember, when you coordinate labor relations, you are dealing with the employer-employee relations, and that relationship is also dynamic because that engagement may have its own demands based on the engagements. And sometimes, for instance, if an employee does not perform and that is perceived to be conduct related, it may also be vouched for at the process of actually mitigating for the employer, for the employee to say, at least instead of laying this person off on account of misconduct, rather let's start off by capacitating this person. So when you redirect the person for training or any form of engagement there, then it becomes an essential part of, re-influencing the behavior of the person instead of maybe expelling that person. That in itself needs rigorous assessment so that ultimately your decisions are sound. So that is how essential facilitation becomes, and then why such people have to be trained as supervisors, Of course, the line managers and so on, it may be in HR, in finance, and in other lines of function, according to the nature and cosmetic of the organization. So anybody who works and have people accounting to makes assessment, and that assessment may ultimately all land on the table of the skills development facilitator, where people would feel that people need to be trained. And then that's how which means skills development facilitation starts with the identification of skills needs within components. It does not start and end with skills development facilitator taking his responsibilities. Then other categories that may be deemed fit based on the occupational, operational context. You also, as I understood, deal with training. So if you deal with training, obviously the trainers, the administrators of training, the recruiters, and everybody within the training institute should actually be exposed to this kind of training. The context may differ then from organization to organization. Thank you. The next slide, if it colleague, if there's anything that you want to know, you may interject. That would not be perceived as an element of disrespect, but the fact that you want to engage. And then things that you learners will be able to do once you have completed this. After the 18th, even before you receive your formal results, you'd confidently say, I'm able to demonstrate understanding of outcome-based assessment. The assessment that is informed accordingly in line with the current learning philosophy and related learning dispensation. You know, how do we approach one? The simple example I cited that we no longer say one is has passed or failed. We say one is competent or not yet competent. We no longer, classify learners according to positions. We just say this one is competent and then performs at average level 4. This one is competent, performs at average level 7. This one is not yet competent and at the moment performs at average level 2. We will do remediation so that going forward, he or she becomes competent. So we keep all hopeful and then believe that ultimately, if remediations are done accordingly, they will be successful. So you'll see those in your notes. We will make these clips and send yourselves those particular clips that show the change from how things were done in the past and how they are being done today. So in your engagements, for those of you that work with SETAs and other quality assurance bodies, those also are a reflection of significant changes in approach that justifies that the outcomes-based assessments that relates to the outcome-based education have taken effect, almost fully now. I suppose we are at 80% performance in terms of shifting from the old to the new ways of doing things. You'd also know how do you prepare, how do you go about preparing for assessment? Remember, administratively, you'd have known and agreed that we've got learners. It's a short course, 3 months. It's a whole year course, 1 year, 6 months, 2 months, and so on. So already when you design how things are going to happen as part of your orientation like we are doing now, you will know when, what would happen, how, and then you prepare accordingly as such. So once you have completed this, you would either know or would have an enhanced knowledge to the knowledge that you have already acquired informally in terms of how do you go about preparing for assessment. The conducting of assessment, remember assessment have got steps. It starts with the diagnostic assessment, which starts even before learning take place, up to where you integrate and submit your portfolios. So the conducting of assessment, you must know the steps that we have to take, the checks and balances in the form, for instance, of two. The learner is ready for assessment. Before you engage with that, you subject that learner to assessment. This is that of how do you provide level of sensitivity in doing that, not subjecting learners to scripts with negative comments, sensitivity in language, and the difference and stages at which you apply written as well as verbal feedbacks to learners. When learners have got feedbacks and there is a need for review, you know how do you go about reviewing. You'll also even appreciate the reality that review is not only about the shortcomings of the learner, also be about the shortcomings of the assessor, him or herself, because sometimes we fault ourselves. You will learn to appreciate the fact that Elena has got the right to give you feedback in terms of your attitude, so that you also work on your attitude if it were to be found not to be up to standard, so that when you re-engage with same learner or other learners, your attitude is aptitude-wise up to the expected levels, so that ultimately you do not embarrass yourself or become that person who, when learners are exposed to, everything becomes clumsy because of how you approach them. Then you will also appreciate assessment as a critical variable related to other competencies constituting assessment practice. That I say, as I said, that skills development, facilitation, and facilitators are part of the people that must be upbeat with the assessment protocols. Facilitators as well as moderators as well. And there are other aspects of learning which have to be linked to the assessment process. Okay, that is it. I think we can note the slides are not long. We can note the questions and then we'll ask them upon completion of all the slides. We have already indicated that we will have break. What is it? They are no longer contact sessions. We will have virtual sessions. So where it is written contact, it is not contact any longer. It is virtual. Then we will work on the practicals, on the job activities, simulation and real workplace exposure. We have already spoken about them, and I have already indicated that you will use what we have, or if on your job you are you have the privilege of accessing assessments, you can use yours, you know, even if it is the ones that you assessed before, if you normally assist with the assessing or say the marking of scripts. Or you may use ours, and maybe if you have some that you think are relevant, add them as additional evidence. And then we will generate evidence and then we'll process it. You know, those are matters that will happen from today as we are engaging until the last day when you post or courier the file to us. And then the learners, beneficiaries, monitoring site visits. Okay, the site visits, we will also do them virtually. Remember your evidence, the more evidence that is relevant to have, the better. For instance, we may also agree that you can do some video clips that show us your current working environment if it covers mainly matters of training and development, so that at least it adds to the fact that you are competent and you are even knowledgeable about some aspects even before you are exposed to this learning. So that in case any person has a doubt, without shadow of a doubt, we refer him to a lot of variables that informs your learning, in also the form of RPL, because remember, when something is questioned in terms of what you've learned, we can also add information that relates to what we learned before to justify your competence. Online virtual presentations, we have spoken about that. We will continue. We will do them multifold, individuals, pairs, groups, and all of you as a class. So we will do those multi-fold engagements as we are doing it now. Then we will build the portfolio of evidence and submit it, and all of the above may be realized juxtaposedly not may actually, they must be realized supposedly in regard of the principles of PLC, where it applies, as well as the principles of integrated learning. Well, this is just a big statement that explains a very thing that you sometimes have exposure and then you submit such information. Outside submitted portfolio and never actually had follow-ups with the provider. So which means in a way, we might find that you already have POE. It may also come that information as additional information to justify RPL, which is recognition of prior learning, or CAT, which is the credits that were accumulated before and are used in a different program. I take it, as you said, you have schools that sometimes some learners would have dropped elsewhere and they come to your institutions, and based on the evidence that you have, you may decide certain modules you override, they don't do them, which means those credits that come from elsewhere, you recognize them as credits that were accumulated before this particular learning expedition started. And the importance of this as well, in recognition of the understanding of outcome-based education, is that in the past, it was not easy to recognize what comes from elsewhere, but now you recognize it. So it is recognizable. So when we unpack the assessment principles, we will re-emphasize some of these. And then I think those assessment principles, we'll send them to you. And if you Google, the better, because you understand them from different schools of thought, because different scholars would actually present in different formats. And then once you understand them in different formats, you will appreciate their role in the whole expedition. Protocol, logistical protocols, regular engagement in between induction training. We have agreed already until we train. We clear the table as much as we can regarding the logistics, the registrations, and so on. And further to that, as much as possible, we get ourselves accordingly inducted into the content of the learning expedition. Whenever there are queries, we promise to raise, and to respond to them quite expeditiously, and would expect and request humbly same from your side colleagues. And then when we facilitate, we'll use mainly resources that would not necessarily be venues, but still be venues, because we'll be seated in venues. We also will be in the venue here, but obviously the resources that we need the most, because we go virtual, will be the connectivity that comes in different forms. You know how you get connected, and then we also will be connected in our own way. But as it is now, this corporation, we are nicely connected, and then we are engaging. So I hope that will continue as such whenever we have to. And then adherence to stipulated terms of contract. In all respects, we have indicated what the tripartite agreement is between yourselves as the law society, ourselves as the training provider, as well as SASSETA as the sponsors for the program. So we need to appreciate and note that agreement, so that as we work, we ensure that we keep with we keep time frames that we have agreed upon, so that we also ensure that ultimately the contract terms of reference are accordingly respected. And then, because we are not physical, we are virtual. The issue of catering would not be the issue that will trouble us, but related aspects would be, you know, hearing, not hearing, and so on and so forth. But we hope we need to use gadgets accordingly. We need to ensure that our batteries are fully charged, and we know that we also have another monster in the form of load shedding. We need to be sensitive of such if it were to interject, but we can plan within it, which means, like I said, whenever learning takes place, it would not mean we are interactive for the whole day. Sometimes we'll work independently. So we then need to ensure that we know where each of one is, and then what will be the status of load shedding on a particular day, so that we try and find spaces where we can interact within those hours where load shedding is not going to disturb us. And then where we know load shedding will disturb us would be the opportunity that we use to let yourselves individually or in groups work, and so that we don't make it a barrier as if we can't have control over it. Thank you. If the next one. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, colleagues, thank you for being such a wonderful group. I can't say audience. I don't want to encourage you to listen more than I want to encourage you to interact. So at least I have presented and you have been part of this. And we have reached the stage now on this aspect where we need to indicate if there's something that we have not understood or any inputs that we want to make.
Nothing on my side.
Nothing from my side.
Thank
also.
you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Understood everything loud and clear. Thank you.
Nothing on my side.
Thank you very much, colleagues. And at the moment, we are about to close. And then we will then once more go back to September, so that if there's any aspect of collaborations on monitoring and logistics that she would want to emphasize, that she does it for the benefit of all of us, so that we recall who we are, who brought us here, and then what is expected of us from time to different stakeholders. Thank you. Over to you, Memelin.
Thank you so much, sir. You make me sound so important. Thank you so much. Yes, so fellow colleagues, I'll share the next training links with you, as well as the schedules as I receive it from Mr. Ntombeni, as well as Mr. Molefe, and we'll take it from there. So thank you so much for availing yourselves this morning, and have a blessed Monday further. Chat again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues. And regarding all the proposals that we've made, think about it and interact with Memelin, interact with Mr. Mushodi. And then if we agree, we will send things. And then if we agree upon other measures like the WhatsApp groups and so on, we will know, and then we'll take it from there. And colleagues can disconnect, and maybe for a minute, Memelin, we can quickly just talk about other matters before we part ways.
Fine with me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
colleagues.
you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
all.
Bye.
Memele?
I'm here, sir. You may.
Okay, thank you for everything and the wonderful coordination. It means a lot to us.
Only a pleasure, sir.
Okay, madam. And then where to from here, you had one that did not come to the party, and then
yes,
you also had your colleague. Yes. I'm not sure how soon can we have everything consolidated and agree that this is what it is, and then we submit everything.
All right. So I've now sent through to you an updated learner list, sir, that consists out of the names, surnames, ID numbers, as well as email addresses and contact numbers. I've also sent the SPO ones through. I only now, in this short space while they had training, received only the gentleman's CV for is it vendor school. So the rest of the CVs, as I receive it, I'll send it through to you guys. Then you must just indicate to me, as you said, the next training will then take place the 8th to the 12th of April. If that is cast in stone, then I can then I can start building the links for those time frames and circulate it. But also maybe a schedule. The schedule that you were displaying, I tried to screenshot it, but there was no dates to it. So I think maybe if you guys can share maybe that same schedule, but just with dates to it, so that they can know how to work around training sessions. And also the submission date. So maybe just a one pager on the training and as to when the POE must be in. I think you guys mentioned the POE would be in the 19th of April. That will be the final submission. If you guys can just share that with me, I'd gladly appreciate, so I can then share it with the group. Then the one gentleman, Milton, is actually on leave today. I tried phoning him. I'm not sure whether it was load shedding. I couldn't get hold of him. He tried to phone me, and after I tried phoning him back, he didn't answer. But what I'm also doing is I actually recorded the session, so he can then, and is his leisure, just go through the